But that lady, that new press secretary, she's
that video, dude.
She's a gangster. They're prepared. And you know why they're prepared? Because they're trying to play gotcha.
Yep.
So she played gotcha with them. She checkmated.
She came in there with that Elon Musk flamethrower.
Play that video.
Watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists, but they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of...
Oh, it did happen at last. A growing political force is Karoline Leavitt. When you use a megaphone to attack someone's character, don't be shocked when they use a megaton in response. This is the $500 million defamation lawsuit that an unreserved champion of free speech filed against a talk show host who was clutching their pearls like it was a fire drill at a Chardonnay tasting.
This young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here. Oh, yeah. Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah. I think she's probably been put in there because according to Donald Trump, she's a 10.
You know that.
Whatever you think of Karoline, she is not renouncing the media apparatus. She has criticized a show that now focuses more on coordinated outrage and discussion. And let's be honest, if you're going to take criticism for having a political spine or even for supporting, you might as well gather names and receipts, which is exactly what she is doing.
Absolutely not. Let me be unequivocally clear about that. And watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists, but they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years. They likened President Trump to Hitler. They have mocked him, they have shamed him, they have lied about him consistently on their show. And it was a joy to watch them on November the 6th when they realized that tens of millions of Americans do not listen to the lies that they have spewed. These women are completely out of touch with reality. And you're right.
The lawsuit wasn't weak. Rather, it was pushback. It was about setting a boundary and saying, no, you don't get to casually destroy reputations just because your ratings need drama. Rogan cut to the noise. While the ladies of The View clutch their mugs and toss around labels like dangerous with all the intellectual rigor of a BuzzFeed quiz. He only needed to mic some sanity and perhaps a side of elk jerky's perspective.
That new press secretary, she's
that video, dude.
She's a gangster. Have you seen that video?
You've never seen someone more prepared for a question in your life, Jamie.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, small point on that. Not the big point, but small point. She was so prepared.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, she's supposed to be prepared.
That's why I said you've never seen someone more prepared.
Let's examine the specific events that resulted in the portion where the resident sages are seen. Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar. This was a form of casual defamation that was covered up as commentary for the coffee table, which gets away with it because it comes with laughter and a live audience. And Joy Behar, who never misses an opportunity to mistake loudness for accuracy, where Sunny Hostin and whoever was promoted to guest host casually disparaged Leavitt over her political affiliations and experience that were not contested, questioned, or smeared. When someone hooped and read the Constitution, Karoline responded with her signature blend of self-satisfied detachedness and hazy spiritual wisdom, which always sounds like it was written in a Whole Foods parking lot. Karoline is dangerous because she has a coherent worldview and the courage to share it by having strong principles. In the meantime, she is an expert at saying everything and nothing at once. Sunny Hostin briefly put her legal degree away to misuse it as a BuzzFeed quiz, which led her to look for beginner-friendly legislation on Google.
If you heard that type of violent, enticing rhetoric from our side of the aisle, from Republican leaders on Capitol Hill, I think there would be a lot more outrage in this room today. It's unacceptable, the comments that have been made by these Democrat leaders, and frankly, they don't even know what they're...
Joe Rogan saw the scene as a cultural milestone because it showed someone finally standing up to media elites who mistakenly believed that their platform was a moral compass. Karoline said enough at that point and refused to back down or complain. What precisely is a bachelorette party with negative viewpoints and worse facts? Logic is waterboarded in this program by half-read Twitter threads that observe a viewpoint, attempt to analyze politics.
Behar went after Joe Rogan on The View, and he fired back spectacularly.
You're worried about losing your job, and you're worried about podcasts taking over, and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us, and he won, and this is and Joe Rogan believes that.
Joe Rogan, who framed the whole spectacle as performance art, was laughing with joy and maybe knocking over a kettlebell or two, while Karoline's legal team was undoubtedly drafting lawsuits and comedy. Shakespeare publicly commended Karoline for retaliating against the opinions in a courtroom with less skill and more hashtags, although she has built a living by insulting woke people. This was not hypocrisy. Rather, it was a tactic. If the public can tolerate it, they should learn to accept it.
And you know why they're prepared? Because they're trying to play gotcha.
Yep.
So she played gotcha with them. She checkmated.
She came in there with that fucking Elon Musk flamethrower.
Play that video.
Then Rogan stood up and said, "Good honor." He then went crazy on TV because, of course he did. According to Rogan, this show illustrates what happens when menopause conventions collide with nighttime TV and no one brings facts. He skewers their entire tick loudly enough, cries at the victim, and then acts like they're brave for surviving their own echo chamber. They say things like if Mean Girls grew up, got talk shows, and forgot to evolve.
People, even in the legacy media, even the Trump haters, they will tell you the approach has been much different. Not just for me, but the entire White House. Oh, absolutely. They come in my office every day and they'll admit that off the record. Maybe not on the record, but they will say they appreciate the access and the transparency and the preparation that goes into my briefings, and everybody on our team, by the way, who goes out.
From Dennis, the progressive brunch mimosa is a beverage that everyone who passes by wearing a red hat has declared war against. Rogan is the anti-view. But if Joy disagrees with you, you're either evilly indoctrinated or going to be cancelled before the next ad break, sobbing into a Senate candle and begging for federal charges. While everyone else disputes if he is the grown-up in the room despite his camouflage and discussion about space monkeys, he invites Alex Jones and Bernie Sanders to a cookout and then calmly eats elk jerky. He didn't flinch when he saw Karoline's suit against The View. Instead, he smiled and cheered because he understood that everyone else secretly felt that someone needed to control those ladies. When someone with a different opinion shows up, Karoline on The View knows she will be treated condescendingly. Knowing this, she flipped the script and turned their gotcha moment into a courtroom drama. Filing a lawsuit against them wasn't a meltdown, rather it was a very profitable move, and Snark camouflaged his questions. Let's not pretend that The View is PBS. This is political improv with no script and even less logic than Judge Judy with hot shots.
It's a strange show, but it's fun to watch. It's just fun to watch them.
It's good entertainment.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Well, they're just, it's interesting because I think Sunny's very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
I think the other ones, there's a couple of the other ones don't have to name any names, are just very dull-minded. But I think Sunny's not one of them. She's smart.
People want us divided, and they aren't just here in this country. They're foreign adversaries who are infiltrating our social media because it is prudent for us to stay that way. But so when you see something that really pisses you off, you should triple check that one.
Yeah. But I think that's why people like our show, because they know that we are checked by ABC News. But
it's checked by everybody.
Yeah. I mean, if we're wrong, we have, the legal note here.
The human legal.
But we went from Walter Cronkite, basically, to this guy, Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. I checked it. He believes in dragons. He believes in dragons.
Since he had witnessed The View perform the same trick for years, from behind a velvet rope of opinion, and then ducked to cover the moment anyone swings back. With something stronger than a tweet, they scream misogyny if you criticize them. Joe Rogan understood that the lawsuit wasn't about setting a precedent, but rather about Karoline Leavitt controlling headlines as if it were a cage match, and she simply walked in with brass knuckles made of subpoenas. Censorship if you don't applaud. Bravery if one of them manages to quote a Wikipedia page without blinking. But when Karoline clapped back not with sarcasm, not with a tweet, Joy seemed to think that Karoline had entered the studio brandishing the Constitution like a lion as the audience gathered, with the smelling salts like Southern belles at a truth convention. In his opinion, if the audience can spend every morning treating dissidents like personal insults and escalating small arguments into DEFCON 1 drama, they don't get to moan when the drama recurs like a boomerang of karma. Well served. Rogan laughed and approved of the mayhem. So what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. And if you don't want to miss out on the hottest celebrity news, make sure to subscribe to Daily Finder.